Hello and welcome back to another video. Today's video is going to be a little different. As you can see from the title, I'm going to be doing a guide on how to be a YouTuber in 2021, specifically tailored towards being a Rust YouTuber because that's where I have the most experience. The structure of this video is going to be as follows. First, I'm just going to be giving some general tips about starting up a YouTube channel in the first place. Then I'm going to talk about the 3 different stages of growth as you progress through the sub count. Finally, I'm going to be talking about being a Rust YouTuber and going more in depth into the different niches that we have in the community. Before you start your YouTube channel, figure out what you want to create and why you want to do so. Motivation is key in having a successful YouTube channel as you're going to burn out either way, but it's the people that are passionate about creating something good that allows them to stick with it. Starting a YouTube channel out from scratch with the goal of making money or gaining followers is a really bad idea. It works for the 0.001%, but for the majority of people, you're just going to get frustrated. So if you're creating a channel, I hope you have a creative mindset and you actually really enjoy putting out the content before even thinking about growth. Okay, so now that you know that you genuinely want to start creating videos, we need to talk about the basics. First off, you're going to need an editing software. There's a range of them, and the one that you use is completely preferential. However, generally speaking, it starts off with basic and then it gets harder and harder. The harder softwares have more complexity to them, which allows you to do more things, but as a beginner, it's easy to get overwhelmed. Personally, I would recommend starting off with one of the more basic editing softwares and then moving up once you feel more comfortable. For Windows users, you can use the video editor called Video Editor, which is built into Windows, and for Mac users, you can just use iMovie. Personally, I started out with Microsoft Movie Maker, which has now been turned into Video Editor. I then moved on to Sony Vegas Pro after I started to get a little bit better with my editing. I've tried lots of different iterations of Vegas Pro, but 14 was the most stable for me, so it's the one I use currently. You can also use Premiere Pro, which is another elite editing software, and I know that people hover between the two, so it's really just preference of which one you want to start with. That's all I want to say about video editing softwares. I'm not going to go into a tutorial on how to actually edit your videos. If you do want to see something like that, please be sure to let me know, but that would have to be a separate video. Moving on, you need to have good thumbnails. Thumbnails are what draw in users, so it's important that you have something which is simple yet effective. Generally speaking, the easiest formula for a good thumbnail is to have large readable font paired with images which relate to your video. Make sure that your titles pair up well with your thumbnails, and whether or not to put them in all caps is completely up to you. A lot of people believe that it draws in a lot more viewers, and in my experience it doesn't so much unless the title is actually clickbait. Speaking of clickbait, which is a very controversial topic as some people justify it whereas others hate it, if you want to know my opinion on the matter, I think that it's fine to clickbait your videos a little as long as you're being truthful in the sense that your content relates directly to the clickbait. For example, in my video, the most OP skins in Rust ? Pay to win, I clickbait the title obviously by suggesting that there might be skins in Rust that are pay to win. However, in the video, I do believe that I go over skins which do give you an in-game advantage, and therefore I find that it's justified. Of course, I did get a couple of comments complaining about the clickbait, but when it's less than 5 out of 37,000 viewers, to me that's usually justified. Of course, you're not breaking any rules by clickbaiting, and therefore you can do whatever you want. However, if you do want to grow your channel in the long run, then I do believe moderating it will definitely help. As for which program to use to edit your thumbnails, there's hundreds of them out there. Personally, I use GIMP because it's simple and has everything I need, but if you do want to make slightly more advanced thumbnails, something such as Photoshop would probably be more suitable. In this next stage of the video, I'm going to be talking about the 3 different growth stages on YouTube, which is getting to your first 100 subs, 1000 subs, and 10,000 subs. I'm talking about this not only because I've done all 3 stages, but also because these are the 3 main hurdles that most YouTubers have to face. After 10,000 subscribers, your growth count is relatively stable because you have enough of a following that the YouTube algorithm can start to work in your favor. That's not to say that people don't get stuck after 10,000 subscribers, it's just not as common as the other 3 hurdles. They say that getting to your first 100 subscribers is the hardest and biggest hurdle. I agree with this to an extent, but it depends on whether or not you have a large family and friends base that you're willing to share your videos to. Regardless of how you're going to grow your channel initially, the first thing you need to do when you start trying to grow is ask yourself this one question. Would you subscribe to yourself from a non-biased perspective? This means that if you saw your video in someone else's recommended, would you click on it? And if you saw it, would you subscribe? The majority of the time the answer is yes, but that's because you're biased. To implement a non-biased perspective, you need to think about the plays or the structure of the video and ask yourself, if it wasn't me doing everything in the video, would I still be interested enough to subscribe? Most people start off by making videos which include montages or stories and things like that, but Most of the time, you wouldn't actually watch it if it wasn't your own stuff. For example, I enjoy watching highlights of my own gameplay because it makes me feel good about things that I've previously done. But if I just saw some random doing the exact same thing, I probably wouldn't be that impressed. This is why montage channels usually don't do too well unless you have a really good editing style or you're simply one of the very best players of that game. So when you're editing your montage videos, try to lose that bias and think about ways that you can edit the video in order to make them more pleasurable to watch. A little bit of extra quality in your videos will definitely go a long way in creating value, which brings me to my next point, which is that your videos need to have value in order to succeed. A good example to demonstrate value would be if you go back and look at some of my earlier videos. For example, this League of Legends guide has 97,000 views, simply because I condensed so much information into a well-written video. The editing was pretty average, however I still think that to this day it adds value to anyone who watches it. Whereas if you look at some of my other montages, I wasn't very good at the game when I first started playing, but I still wanted to record and upload videos. So those videos don't have a lot of value because not only was I bad at the game, but my editing was still pretty average. Move forward a couple of years and as you can see Rust Awaken on Baron, this video actually did quite well considering my sub count was below 1,000 subscribers at the time, because not only was the thumbnail a lot more appealing, but my gameplay was a lot better and my editing had gotten smoother. It's clear to see that if you look at view count, guide videos have built-in value, therefore the views are always going to be slightly higher on my channel. That's not to say that you can't improve your value. As you can see in my videos, as I improve my gameplay and my editing style, you can see that even my montages started to grow in views. But regardless of all of this, quality or quantity, you need to be constantly thinking about value in your videos, as this is the #1 determinant in growth in my opinion. Once your videos start to have value, you need to promote them a little bit in order to get over that 100 jump hurdle. The easiest way is to tell family and friends. If you have 10 friends and they all subscribe, and then you tell your family members as well, you can instantly jump to 20, and even if they watch your videos as a bit of a joke, as long as they're watching it, it helps the video perform well in the algorithm immensely. And if they're good friends, they'll like the video after they watch it as a joke, and if they're even better friends, then they're going to play the video for a second time during class, through the speakers, just loud enough so that the teacher can't hear it, but loud enough so the rest of the class can. Shout out to my friends, you guys have been there since day one. Yeah, sorry about that. That's why I'm a guide channel and not an entertainer. But all jokes aside, I do believe that me telling about 25 people and getting my first 25 subscribers from IRL friends allowed me to get to 100 a lot quicker than had I just kept quiet about it. And if you do the same and improve the value in your videos as well as post your videos in Discord links, then I do believe that getting to first 100 subscribers shouldn't be that difficult. If you're getting stuck below 100, then I genuinely think that you should worry about the value of your videos more than anything else. Next up we have getting to your first 1000. If you've already made 100 subs at this point, then your videos do have a certain amount of value and you do have a little bit of a follower base to work off of. In order to move to the next stage, you need to start refining your videos. It's the small things here and there that will go a long way when it comes to the quality of your video. In my montages, I started worrying a little bit more about cinematics and structuring the storyline so that it was better than just a random montage. As for my guide videos, I started planning out rough scripts so that the information was concise, and I made sure to go over it multiple times in order to get rid of information that wasn't that useful. If I paired this with consistency, I saw a decent amount of growth. Of course, I was in year 12, so I had to drop out from uploading for a couple of months here and there, but once I started to get back into it, I saw a lot of growth. Then when the farming update came out, not many people knew how it worked, so I took everything that I'd learned from my previous guide videos and applied it to farming. I did lots of research and took my time trying to find out as much information as I could. Then I created a video with a lot of value by condensing all of this information as much as possible. The videos were well received because I didn't have much competition in the area. And I didn't just stop there after one video. As updates came out, I made more and more videos, and I did my best to improve the quality of my videos by use of diagrams and things such as paint in order to aid my explanation skills. I also did more research so that I could condense the information even further. If you're new to YouTube, you might not know how the YouTube algorithm works, but essentially when someone clicks on your video, the longer they stay on that video, the more YouTube thinks that your video was good. Sure, likes help, but it's not as important as watch time. YouTube will recommend your videos to others if people stick around to watch the whole thing. This is why I tried to condense as much information into a very short period of time. Me finding my niche in farming paired with the high watch time allowed my videos to snowball and do so well. It's at this point that your videos are of high enough quality that you've got 1,000 people backing you. This means that you don't have to put as much effort into your quality, but you do need to try and keep your consistency. That's not to say that you shouldn't try and make every video better than the last, it just means that your videos are already good enough that they're obviously adding value to 1,000 different people. Out of the 3 stages, in my opinion, this is by far the easiest one, because you know your videos will already do decently well, so all you need to do now is produce the same quality content that you've already been doing. The one thing that you need to worry about the most in this stage is the YouTube algorithm. Here's where you need to start worrying about your click-through rate, which is the rate at which people will click on your video if it's in their recommended. If you've been worrying about the watch time up until your first 1000 subscribers, you should be in a good position where your videos will slowly start to get recommended to more and more people. This is where thumbnails really start to matter. If your videos are getting recommended to others, your thumbnails need to be catchy enough and your titles need to pair with it in a way such that people definitely want to click on it. Not only does clicking on it help you because you gain 1 extra view, but this increases your click-through rate and it will snowball the effect. Once you get to this stage, you really need to start worrying about your thumbnails more. You can either put more time and effort into creating them yourselves, or some people around this sub count will actually outsource the work to other people. It's not that expensive to pay for thumbnails from other people, and once you get to 1000 subscribers, you can start to earn a little bit of income anyway, and reinvesting it into a thumbnail artist is definitely a good idea. Another useful way to help yourself with the YouTube algorithm is reminding your subscribers or viewers to like the video, try and get them to comment and subscribe for more. It's why you'll usually hear people say this in their end card, just because it helps with the algorithm so much. Other than the YouTube algorithm, the only other thing you need to worry about in your final push to 10,000 subscribers is start to do a little bit of networking. It's much more enjoyable playing Rust with friends, and meeting new content creators on social media is what YouTube's really all about. Not only that, but getting your name out there is super helpful, as people will mention you and this will have a snowball effect similar to the algorithm. In this final part of the video, I want to talk about the Rust niches that certain YouTubers have fit themselves into. If you can find your own unique niche, then you'll be in a really good spot, but the likelihood is that you won't be able to find something that's completely unique, so you're better off looking what people have already found success in and then adapting it and changing it into your own unique style. Here are some examples of some Rust niches that have already been established. To be a PvP YouTuber, you need to devote yourself to becoming really good at the game and then displaying your PvP skills in the form of montages. The good thing about this is that anyone can do it, and the bad thing about this is that everyone already does do it. To succeed in this niche, you need to be the best of the best, and even then it's still hard to stand out. So what most PvP Rust YouTubers do is they start off by posting fun montages, then develop their editing style and transition more into a story-based YouTuber. For example, when I first started watching Blueprint and Frost, their videos were mainly PvP focused, but as they started to develop better editing styles and transition into a more story-based video, they saw rapid growth in their sub count. Some other mentions would be Warrior and Tacular, much smaller YouTubers. However, they too started out by posting really good PvP montages, and I would even argue that these two players are better at PvP, but montages can only take you so far as they get repetitive. However, after they saw a little bit of growth, both Tacular and Warrior started to make more full wipe videos with a little bit more story focus rather than just hitting headshots, and as they did that, they saw better views in their videos and their sub count grew rapidly. That's not to say that you can't post montages, as well-edited montages are still appealing to watch. It's just clear that the Rust community prefers to watch videos with a little bit more story, and that's why movies are so popular, rather than just watching repetitive montages. And I also did want to mention Posty as well, who's a PvP Twitch streamer, and obviously PvP works well on Twitch. However, when he brings his stuff to YouTube, his edits are focused on a quick snowball rather than just montages, which can do well as well because snowballs are entertaining to watch. In my opinion, this is one of the easiest niches to fill, because creating base designs and giving them to people who don't already know how to build already adds a lot of value to them, as any base that they would have come up with would be worse than your one. That's not to say that every base design you come up with will be good, it just means that it will be better than what other people could have created themselves. And that's where the controversy surrounding this niche comes. There's lots of building YouTubers out there who will just pump out a new base design every week for the sake of views and growth. However, there's other YouTubers who prefer to work on their craft and make sure that their base design is actually unique and more efficient than the last one. Making a base design more efficient than the last one is often very difficult, so what most of the time they'll do is when something new gets implemented, they'll try and adapt it to different size base designs. This still does mean that they're going to be posting less than the people who like to pump out lots of videos at one time, but their base designs are usually more well received as well as more credible. My favorite base building YouTubers are Bias and Evilworst. Evilworst's video editing is always very good, however what I really like about his videos is that it's clear that he gets feedback from other experienced builders before publishing. That means that he'll come up with a design, then ask for feedback before editing his final design and publishing. And what I like about Vice's videos is pretty much the same thing. His editing is not quite as high as Evilworst in my opinion, however he focuses more on the design aspect. He'll never post his design unless he thinks it's genuinely good, and he started up a new series where he started to critique other base designs, which I find really helpful because sometimes it's clear that other base designs just aren't as good, but he shows different ways in which they can be corrected. To succeed in this area, I would highly recommend that you spend lots of time watching other experienced builders and then trying to use their techniques to adapt it into your own base designs. Make sure to give credit where it is due. And if you don't want to make fully fleshed out base designs, instead you can do something similar to what I did. When I first started making building videos, rather than making full base designs, what I would do is compile different tips and tricks into one video and then categorize them. For example, I did one video which was a shooting floor design, and I just showed off all the different shooting floor designs that I knew about, so that if someone wanted to make their own base design, they could use one of my designs. And then another video I had was different loot room designs, so that if someone wanted to make their own base design, they could use any of the loot rooms I showed in the video. To succeed in this area, make your videos short, compact, and useful, and also make sure to join building discords so that you can stay up to date on all the new innovative tricks. Next up we have wipe videos, which are essentially just videos which go over a person's wipe. Now these videos can range, having different editing styles, but generally speaking they start with a rock and torch on the beach, and then they go over everything leading up to the end of the wipe. The reason these videos do well is because when not everyone has enough time to play a full wipe, it's still entertaining to watch someone else do it in a more condensed format. The main downsides to this is that you have to play a lot of Rust in order to get content, and not every wipe will be the same or even entertaining for that matter. And on top of that, it's hard to enter this niche as most people enjoy watching people that they know, and if you're not well known, then why would someone watch you over someone else? That being said though, you can still find growth even though you're not that well known by finding a unique style that's really entertaining and above all the rest. Two notable mentions would be wrld and Alone in Tokyo. They both have a unique style, with Alone in Tokyo's style being that he's solo, quiet, and he uses that to his advantage, as in most of his videos he's picking apart larger groups which have poor communication. Although wrld started off by making base builds, he quickly grew to fame due to his very chill nature of solo videos. In most of his videos, he has a chill nature as well as lo-fi music, and it just makes it easy to relax whilst watching his content. But these are just two YouTubers who've taken the more chill approach. There's also others who have more cinematics and intense music, which make their videos entertaining for a different type of audience. You just need to find what works for you in order to succeed in this area. If you're someone who has a lot of knowledge about Rust, or you enjoy finding exploits, bugs, and different things like that, then maybe this might be the niche for you. Recently there's been a few channels who've blown up because they've made a few viral videos which include tips and tricks. Two most notable ones I would say is Alvra and Zprots. The way to succeed in this area is by being ahead of the game. You need to figure out what the latest exploits and bugs are in Rust and then pass it on to your viewers first. Of course, these don't have to be game-breaking tricks, but it's easier to make yourself stand out if you come up with tricks and things that most people don't know, because anyone can make a tips and tricks video if it's targeting the general population of Rust, whereas if you want to stand out like these guys who've blown up in a very short amount of time, you need to be able to come up with tricks which most Rust veterans wouldn't even know. If you want to succeed in this area, then I would recommend having shorter videos which go straight to the bug or trick that you're trying to show off, as no one wants to hear you ramble about different things if they've clicked on the video just looking for the trick. Zerg progression videos are similar to full wipe videos, but they happen in a much shorter space of time. Of course, they're playing in larger groups, so everything gets done at a quicker rate, paired with the fact that there's lots of groups fighting each other, so therefore you get a video with a lot more action in most of the wipes. These videos are really entertaining to the Rust players that aren't competitive, and non-competitive Rust players don't get to get up to AK and full metal kits and things like that, so it's entertaining to see what can be done in a more organized and competitive larger scale group. The main Zerg progression YouTuber that I watch is Taunted. He's been doing it for a while and he's quite big in the scene. The way to succeed in this area is you need to have a successful wipe which includes online raids which are entertaining. You'll even see that in some of Taunted's videos. He'll specifically try and annoy another group in order to get an online raid defense for content. So make sure that you're playing in a competitive group that does well and lots of online raids. When you come out on top, of course the video looks a lot better rather than when you have rubbish wipes. It's also important that you try to play on more competitive servers, as when you're on medium pop servers and you're dominating the competition, sure it looks good in the short term, but you're rarely going to get an online raid defense, and when you yourself online smaller groups, you're not going to get as much content as they won't fight back as easily. If you've watched Rust on YouTube, there's a good chance you already know about Rust movies. These are long Rust videos, usually over half an hour, which have a lot of editing and storytelling. The main YouTubers that come to mind in this category would be Frost, Blueprint, Stevie, and Bernie. Of course, there's many other YouTubers and they all have their unique style. The way to succeed in this area is that when you're actually playing the Rust wipe, you need to be playing it in a way which sets you up for a good story. For example, with Blueprint, he'll keep track of all the names of his neighbors in his area, so that if he can create a revenge story or something along those lines, he can make a more entertaining story out of it. Because PvPing against randoms anyone can do, but through correct use of storytelling, you can turn what would be a very simple Rust wipe into something more of a movie. I think the most underappreciated element of this niche is correct use of sound effects. If you go back and watch some of your favorite movies, notice how they use sound effects at different areas in order to change your understanding of what's going on. This is no different to how someone would edit an actual movie, as correct use of sound effects can change your emotions. And because these videos are longer, they actually do better in the YouTube algorithm, as a longer video will obviously have a longer watch time. Therefore, if you make an entertaining video and your editing is good and people stick around past the first 5 minutes, then you're going to hit the algorithm and it's going to be a lot easier to blow up from here. That's why you see a lot of PvP or full wipe video people turning into movies rather than breaking up their content into half videos. And that's all the niches that I wanted to talk about. Of course, there's always going to be more. I can't cover everything. However, these are the general ones. So if you're thinking about starting up a Rust YouTube channel, you probably want to try and hit one of these areas. And that is the end of this video. Following the spread of this video, if you think you're a new and upcoming YouTuber, I want you guys to comment something down below and just include #77. I'll do my best to check out all of your channels down below, and in the next video, I'll give a shout out to the channel that I think has the most potential. Thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and as always, I will see you in the next one.